south moving north or coming from the north going south. Currently, this is the only access road, which is on the northern edge.
So there's gonna be a restrictive gate on the north end of that road that runs through the property? That goes, look like it goes into a subdivision?
Tom, at some point, I believe that there is.
That was the initial plan, but Peter wants to let folks, and we'll switch gears here, and I'm talking about
The lakes.
Okay.
So this is access point, and I know. Castle
Right,
up here.
right.
With that. And there was gonna be a gate there at one time, but the folks that live in the castle, that don't live on the lake, they want access to these amenities. And I suspect, also a quick way out to Robinson Springs Road, folks that live here on this side. So, Peter did some, focus groups with existing residents here in the, and they want to have access through to be able to get back out. Want access to the walking trails, lakes, fishing.
So those basically gonna be public lakes? You gonna let the public?
No, it'll be for the existing, this will be an extension of Newcastle subdivision.
Oh.
It'll be in that homeowners association, so you pay dues.
Oh.
No, it's not public.
Okay, so the people in Newcastle will be allowed to use it.
Right, as it stands now.
Yes.
Yeah, as it stands now. And, you know, the intention is to have a separate gated entrance here going into the villas, and I think that was your question, is how do you get to the villas?
Do you have a proposed layout for this R3, the villas in there?
We're working on it. I mean, we're gonna have to come back before you guys. And
Right.
This is,
Okay, I just
Just
wanted to see.
rezoning, yeah, because it's currently zoned R3, you know,
Right.
unrestricted,
but
but
we've got to be limited, and we've got to go through Madison as well as the county. And it's, I mean, it's a unique concept in that it's active adult, and they look like big houses. They don't look like duplexes or, you know. Walter did a good job of describing it. They're gonna look like big homes on 1 acre parcel. No, we don't.
5,000 to 6,000 square foot structures
Structure, yeah.
with 2 to 4 residences per structure.
So there'll be 3,000 to 1,500 to 3,000 per unit in those.
More like 2,200, and if we, I don't know, frankly, if we can get a fourplex
Yeah.
on there. But, you know, the fourplex would be 7,500, 8,000 square feet.
So, and y'all gonna be working with the city of Madison, getting approvals for your designs and your layouts, et cetera, before you come before?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a, you know,
Yeah.
get everything done. He's engaged a group to help with the marketing Peter has. I'll come out there and build 10 of them. He just builds a couple at a time.
Sorry.
And it's gonna be just like this, we wanna get the city of Madison's buy-in before we come to the board, rather than coming to the board and then have the city say, oh, we have a problem with X or Y. We wanna work that out before we come in front of this body.
Yeah, they'll be tougher.
Now, let me mention, the construction entrance coming off Gus Green Road. Peter, the applicant, has indicated that he, with a surety bond, is going to take
Okay.
care of all the road maintenance to the extent there's any damage done to Gus Green Road from the point of entrance south to Robinson Springs Road.
Right.
So that stretch of Gus Green Road, the applicant is going to take care of fixing potholes and damage, whatever's
Okay.
done. Heavy rain, something washing out, the applicant is gonna fix it, so
Okay.
that won't be, you know, the county having to spend county money or county resources maintaining this road.
Right, that question came up when you were here before,
It did, right,
so we will be sure that was covered.
it is.
Okay.
Let me now move to the needs issue. The applicant got a market study done, and it's in the packet by Integra Realty Resources, indicating that there's a market need for this combination of R1A and R3. Also have 2 letters from local realtors. both of whom indicated that there's a market need for this kind of, modified zoning. With respect to the villas down here in the southwest corner, there's currently, to my knowledge, nothing in Madison County, certainly nothing in the city of Madison that's comparable.
Right.
The only thing that is somewhat, analogous is Cornerstone is building 30 homes on 9 acres. Those are single-family residences right off of Catlett Road in kind of the Gluckstadt area. So you have 30 homes on 9 acres. We're talking about 35 structures, so that's about a third of an acre density per structure. We're talking about having 35 structures on 35 acres, so much lower density is what we're talking about. One structure per acre. And with that, I've gone through kind of an overview. If any of the commission members have got questions about the project or the scope of the project or anything, related to it, I would, entertain those.
I have a question, just a matter of clarification. In this resolution from the city of Madison, where it says, because of the services the city of Madison provides to the area, are they gonna be providing sewer and water service, or is that coming from Bear Creek?
It's coming from Bear Creek. The city of Madison, that was in there, but the city of Madison provides no services. The only services that the city could conceivably say that they currently provide is in the event of a large fire.
I was gonna say fire.
They would, assist, but they don't provide sewer, water, anything like that.
police protection, just-
Police, correct.
So,
Because it's west of the city's
Okay.
city limit,
right,
at least at the current time, as I indicated.
right.
It's possible in a few years that the city's gonna try to annex it, but as we're sitting here today, this is county
Right.
land.
Okay.
Any other questions? Opposition? Is there an opposition?
Good morning. My name is Jim Ingram. I'm the president of the Gray Castle Lake Homeowners Association. And I find myself in an interesting spot. 2 years ago, I was here, I think before this very commission, advocating for Peter duBuechler to have the right to develop his 12-acre site off of Dover Lane. He wanted 12 1-acre sites, and I think at the end of the exercise, he was given the right to develop 8 1.5-acre sites on that. But I was here advocating for Peter. So, and in full disclosure, Peter and I have been very close for a number of years. Been to his house many times. I spoke with him yesterday, spoke with him again this morning. My parents lived next door to Peter, and we were almost like family. So I find myself in an untenable position today advocating against this development, but I do have a few questions before I finish. But so you mentioned that you met with the Annandale Homeowners Association?
Their lawyer.
Okay, will any of this traffic go through the Annandale development?
None of it should.
Okay. Now let me, if I may. So the first 5 lots. So here's the Newcastle development. So 463 is here. Maybe I need this. Yeah, let's start with this. So 463 comes through here. Here's Newcastle. So all of this entire development, the first 65 lots, it appears to me, access will come through the Newcastle Homeowners Association property. Is that correct?
No, the way that Peter is going to do it, he's going to do it in phases. He builds very slowly. There will never or should never be more than 20 homes that would cause people to come through to the north. But once the roads are built coming in from the south, going north, and this road that the homeowners can use if they want, coming off Gus Green Road, most people, even here, up in the northeast segment, are going to logically want to come in from the south entrances, because otherwise they've got to go all the way around and then down 463. But Peter has told me that there should never be more than 20 homes ongoing that would prompt anyone to go north to, come and go.
Even though you have 65 lots in this development before this entrance to Robinson Springs Road ever becomes created.
Correct. He's not gonna develop 65 lots. He's gonna do them in batches, Tom knows, of 10 to maybe 20
Yeah,
at the most.
the issue is the crossing. He would do this tomorrow, but he's got to have this engineered and and he's gonna develop 10 lots here and 10 lots there, and the timing, I think, will work out that Newcastle. His estimation in the time that it's gonna take to do the engineering and doing the box culvert to do that crossing is 2 or 3 years, is what he's saying. So, 10 lots a year.
Well, Peter told me it would take him 6 years to do 10 lots.
I don't know that it'll take him that long.
That's what
Yeah, I know that, but I
Okay,
just,
here's my issue. So the Annandale Homeowners Association, you guys met with them
yes.
to make sure that you got their, I'm not sure they endorsed it, but they're not opposing it, if I heard that correctly. But the traffic will come through the Newcastle Homeowners Association subdivision. Traffic for all of the initial development will come down 463, turn left on Dover Lane, and out, hit Normandy Circle, and enter this way. However, nobody has met with the Newcastle Homeowners Association or the Newcastle Lake Owners Association to understand. And I told Peter this morning, I said, Peter, I think it's a communication issue. So Annandale will have none of this traffic going through their development, yet you met with them to get their endorsement or explain the process so that they wouldn't oppose it.
Yeah, and
What I would like to suggest is that you meet with,
Newcastle.
that we table this discussion, and you meet with Castle Homeowners Association, Great Castle Lake Homeowners Association. By the way, the Great Castle Lake Homeowners Association Board did adopt a resolution approving Peter's zoning change from R3 to R1. Or, actually, we support his development, his R3 development. But if you have to understand, and in talking with Peter and others, that in their traffic studies, they compared our subdivision, Newcastle, with Reunion, with Annandale. The only problem is, those subdivisions all have sidewalks. Have no sidewalks. As I pulled out of my driveway this morning, I saw a young lady pushing a baby carriage and had her dog on a leash, baby carriage in one hand, the leash on the other. As I pulled up the hill, there's a husband and wife walking, and we have to walk in the street. We have no sidewalks. Reunion and Annandale all have sidewalks. So it's a safety issue to me. I'm not gonna talk about the quality of life, I mean, that's objective. It's a safety issue, where we're gonna have all of this traffic coming through our neighborhood, yet we were never consulted in advance of this. And of course, now our board has met with Peter in the past, and we've talked about this development. And the development has changed over time. So what I would like to suggest is that you'll meet with the Newcastle Homeowners Association and the Great Castle Lake Homeowners Association to make sure that we understand what's being developed and to make sure that any perception of safety issues can be addressed. Because if all of our people are walking on the street, walking down, next door neighbor just bought the house, moved in, they have 4 children under the age of 11. And when they go walk down the street, they have no other place to go but the street. So it's a traffic issue to me and to our board.
All right, let me speak to each of the issues that you just raised. First, with respect to why did we notify Annandale and not you, Annandale's property abuts this 160-acre tract. So under the law, we're obligated to give anyone that's an adjoining landowner notice. Your development is not within the legal 160-foot range, so there's no obligation to give you notice. As to the traffic, Peter lives in this area, as you know. Peter doesn't want excess traffic either. That's why he's gonna build, basically phase in lots in groups of 10. So you would have 10 homes going up at one time. So yeah, you may have 10 more homeowners. How many people live in the home? The Madison County average, I believe, is 2.6. That's what you would have. It wouldn't be 160 lots, it would be 10. But when these 2 roads are added, no one's gonna wanna come in or out from the north, even if they live in this area, because it's gonna be so much faster to come in from these 2 entrances. And as to the issue of safety, like I said, Peter lives in this area, so he doesn't want cars coming through, flying, running people that are walking, off the roads.
Okay,
I've got a question
Just-
for you guys while you're standing there. Who maintains the roads in Newcastle? Is that all those county roads?
county roads.
So your construction traffic is gonna tear the roads up from 463 all the way down to your development. Who's gonna repair them?
Well,
Construction traffic is actually never gonna come through there.
Come in on Gus Green, on
Are
this
you
new
gonna,
road.
so you're gonna develop that road first?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
right out of the gate.
Okay, so,
Nothing, no heavy trucks of any kind. It's only gonna be homeowners eventually. No heavy trucks of any kind are gonna be coming in from the north, in or out.
okay,
Ever. It's all gonna be coming in from this.
okay, so you're
western
gonna develop
boundary.
the entrance road first?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and I almost said something because the only traffic coming through there. Well, there's an option of anywhere to come in.
I'm just saying, you're saying,
Yeah, please do.
Come to the microphone, please. Sorry.
State your name.
I'm Jonathan Kaiser. I'm a resident of Madison County, and I live on the Lake Gray Castle Homeowners Association. I'm a board member. You're saying that construction traffic will never
Microphone,
use...
please.
This is a live stream meeting.
Yes, sir.
so
Sorry.
Without using the microphone, they won't be able to hear you.
Sorry. You're saying that construction traffic will never use these routes. They're using these routes currently. So I would say that that is not an accurate statement on your part.
They're using the routes because they'd have to go through a field to get in there. But what I'm saying is there's no provision for Newcastle as far as a construction road. And Peter has said that was somewhat of an oversight, frankly. So to be able to come in off of here is the way that this is going to be built. And we're talking about,
I'm just saying, you made a statement that they would never use the road, and I'm saying that is not a truthful statement, and now you're saying you're correct, that's not a truthful statement?
No.
They are using the road currently, or they aren't?
sure, because, okay, yes, they're using the road currently.
For construction activity, yes.
Right.
Nothing has started. What we're saying is that once the zoning is modified, the first thing Peter's gonna do is put this road in. He doesn't want bulldozer traffic or truck traffic or 18-wheelers coming in, from the north. Again, that's kind of close to his area too. He wants to build a dedicated road for ingress and egress for any heavy truck, of any kind. Earth moving, anything.
What kind of traffic is going through today? Is it passenger
Yeah.
cars, dump trucks? What kind of traffic is going through your neighborhood?
There are 3 different construction projects that use Dover Lane. The first one is the one that Jim mentioned that we both advocated for Peter in the rezoning of some retail property that was erroneously zoned in the eastern part of Dover Lane. The second project is the Annandale Estates, which has a construction access onto Dover that comes in immediately adjacent to this rezoned property that's retail. And the third project has been earthwork activity that's been going on in this subdivision area that has routine trucks coming in and out. So there are three different ones.
Kind of trucks?
Routine truck traffic, earthwork, heavy vehicle construction traffic, and go ahead.
So,
Well,
I'm sorry, so you are taking heavy construction vehicles through the neighborhood today?
No. Two of
I
the
am
projects
getting
he
confused
mentioned
here.
are ongoing, construction projects in Newcastle. I mean, that's
I
ongoing.
understand that. But what I understood him to say was that the third project that was drawing traffic through the neighborhood was indeed this project.
There may have been some trucks because they were trying to get in and do survey work, but once trees are knocked down and these lakes are gonna have to be built, so bulldozers are gonna be brought in, none of that.
But all that's going to be through the construction entrance?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But
That
just
is-
to get into the property, because you can't get in any other way now. So yes, some trucks did come in from the north just to do survey work so that Peter could see what's there to have the zoning modified. But as soon, hopefully, as the zoning is changed, nothing is coming in or out from that northern entrance.
Well, let me add 2 cents into this. I live in a subdivision that was used for construction traffic for adjacent subdivision. They ruined our roads. It took the county 10 years to come in and do any fixing on them. And the traffic was horrendous because the homeowners came through our subdivision at highway speeds, ignoring the fact that they were running through a subdivision with 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. I'm adamant about having any construction traffic, even the electricians and the plumbers. They should never go through that subdivision to a house that's being built in your subdivision.
I agree.
They've got to come off of a main road.
Yes, sir. The first thing he's gonna do is build this road off of West Green Road.
Right.
That's gonna run east into the western edge of this 160-acre tract.
And this
So is there
gotta
anything
serve
on Gus Green
everybody.
right now? A gravel road or anything?
What, right now?
Yes.
No, there's nothing.
nothing.
And before he turns the first spade of dirt in here, he's gonna build this road, and I'm gonna make a proposal contingent on him approving it. Why don't we put a gate here that only the folks that need to be in here can get in here, and not the construction traffic.
There
That's what
should be
we've
a
done.
locked
That's what we've
gate that
done.
no traffic gets through until you get through building.
We've done that at other subdivisions.
Yeah.
to
Let me
keep
make
folks
2 more
through,
points.
because
I'll turn it over.
You will have a stray vehicle come in there for the first time usually.
Every house is gonna have plumbers and electricians,
It's,
concrete workers, bricklayers. They're gonna be coming and going constantly to those houses.
I think we need to put a gate.
I
and
think you need to put a
that's-
gate and keep it
then,
shut until you get a house built in there that has a homeowner in it.
Right, yeah.
Then give them access through it.
And we talked about doing that early on. But there will be a stray vehicle, and you're right, there's 30 tradespeople that come in on a house.
Constantly.
And if they don't know the way,
Right.
I do think this is an easy way to find, and it's gonna be clearly marked, but folks still sneak through. If somebody's coming from Flora, they're gonna probably sneak through that way if they can. So I think a gate's a great idea.
But if it's gated, they can't
Yeah.
get in.
And that's a solution.
People still come through our subdivision trying to get into the adjacent subdivision, although the gate's been closed now for maybe 10 years. It's still on Google or somewhere that shows a road going all the way through there. And we have people coming through our subdivision to get into the next subdivision when there's a gate there that's locked.
Yeah.
And a cul-de-sac has been built at the end of our road. And I live near that cul-de-sac, and I know the traffic has been horrible. When I built the house there, traffic was coming through there at 55 miles an hour. We like to never got that gate put up.
Well, let's put one in for day one.
Now, I would like to make 2 more points, kind of countering what Walter said. He said Peter lives in this subdivision and.
Lives in
okay,
the area.
Lives in the area? Okay, now Peter lives across Swansea Lane. There's a gate, in a gated community that goes across the dam. So he is pretty well insulated from what's happening in this area. Secondly, although in theory, it's going to take Peter years to develop just 10 lots, if this is approved by the Zoning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, until this waterway is put in and until this entrance is created, would he have the right to develop all 65 lots with all of that traffic coming through Newcastle subdivision?
No, because once the zoning is modified, we can put a gate and close it and lock it. Not even, an electric gate, a gate that you cannot open. No one, even homeowners, won't be able to get in from this side. Anyone, homeowner, trades, craftspeople, bulldozer, will all be coming in from this Gus Green Road annex. And then when the Robinson Springs Road north entrance is built, because Peter's gonna have to build a bridge here.
Right.
Which he has to get, the Corps of Engineers, which that's gonna take time and cost a lot of money. He can't just like culvert over it. So he's gotta build a bridge over this. There will be 2 entrances. This one
See,
will still be
yeah,
the
that's,
road.
that's my point. Yeah, that's,
You gotta have the engineering on it, and it's based on water flow and the box culvert size.
So why not?
Because.
I mean, why not just put those 2 entrances in on the initial part?
That was the plan, we've been told by the Corps of Engineers, FEMA, and all the folks to control that, because part of this is in a floodplain right now, floodway. That's gotta be redesignated.
So what are they telling you? Why can they not do that?
Because the government doesn't move very quickly, just to be honest. And we can't do anything in there until the floodway and floodplain has been reconfigured. Billy Colson's working on it, been working on it for a year. It's another year and a half before that's being done.
But your Gus Green Road entrance and exit can be constructed immediately because you don't have a waterway.
And can and will be. Yes, sir. I will play attorney here and just make a recommendation that he commits to not build more than 20 homes in here without this being completed. And then that, alleviates the issue of 65 homes.
Why don't you build a road down to Robinson Springs and put the first 20 houses on the bottom southeast corner?
It just, from a marketing perspective, it just makes more sense to go up there. Look, in a perfect world, but, and he is gonna start on this, so there will be a road, but it's just this crossing. I mean, that's the deal, and that's not an excuse. Peter was prepared to go in there and do the crossing from day one.
But if you don't have occupancy where in the north half, you got it covered with a road to the south for both the R3 and the other section there. You got R3 covered and the lower R1A covered with a road to Robinson Springs, don't you?
absolutely.
And
And
why don't you start there?
that's what we'd like to advocate. So essentially, they've already met with Annandale. Annandale borders this property. Newcastle borders this property.
They said they did focus groups with area residents, but they weren't from Newcastle. We've got a homeowners association that Peter's a member of, but those focus groups did not include the residents along Dover Lane, Normandy Circle, or Lake Graycastle homeowners.
All
So
points are well taken. Are there any other opposition?
the only, if I could add a couple more things to traffic, and then I'll be through, because I want to say I'm not opposed to the rezoning. My concern is the access. That Peter came to us a couple of years ago and presented a plan and said there would be no access. It would be gate controlled so that you couldn't go back and forth. And now we find out that that was not what was presented in November. And I feel a little bit misled on that, and I wanted to share that opinion. The access, as you talk about Robinson Springs Road being a desirable route, you obviously don't live on Robinson Springs Road, because we're doing a study for the city of Madison. We did a submittal for Madison County 3 years ago, looking at doing improvements to Robinson Springs and 463. The middle school backs up traffic across this intersection every morning. They have had somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 crashes in the last 10 years at that intersection that are rear-end crashes. It is extremely difficult to make left turns during peak hours. Anyone that has an opportunity to connect through your subdivision to get to Dover to 463 will bypass the Robinson Springs access. They will not go south to Robinson Springs Road because you cannot get out at Robinson Springs. So I would strongly disagree with your perspective on the attractiveness.
Certain peak periods, and you're absolutely right. If it's not a peak period in the morning or, in the afternoon, it's not like that. In peak periods, it is. I mean, it absolutely is. So there's, yeah.
Did I understand you to say that R3 will be in the initial construction?
Initial being 2 years from now. I mean, he's got a year of planning, probably next spring would start construction, and there wouldn't be homes in there until the end of next year.
How many homes up on the northeast could be started soon?
He does 10 lot phases.
Well, you said 10
Yeah.
and 10, but you
Yeah,
said
right.
on the north, and he could start that now?
No, he's got to do construction drawings. It'll be the first part of next year.
Well,
you know.
that's the same time as R3 is going.
Correct.
You got to build the R3 road.
Listen, hey, if the engineering is done on this, he will make the crossing, and that's a done deal. Put a gate there where nobody can get through, and have him commit to 20 lots. And I just think that's the common sense thing to do. That if you're worried about traffic, nobody's going to get through there because there's a gate.
Let me just mention this. We're talking about a fair amount of detail. What Peter is really advocating now is just changing the zoning classification. This is all zoned R3. He could submit, he could sell it, and he could submit, a proposition to have, apartments put in there, condos. So he just wants to get the zoning changed. Then all these details, he wants to be a good neighbor. He wants to work it out with, the area neighborhoods, the city of Madison.
Well, then meet with us.
Yeah, and that's
Okay,
what I was going to
then
say.
meet
As
with
the
us,
third
and let's
condition,
work it out before
absolutely.
we come back to this body for approval. If he wants to meet with us, he should. You met with Annandale, you didn't meet with Newcastle.
Because Annandale is an adjoining landowner.
So are we, you're driving through.
All right.
There's-
All right, is there any others who are, any other opposition?
The
Hold on.
only
Is there
other
any other
traffic
opposition?
aspect was.
Any other, hold on, sir. Any other opposition?
My name is Mac Porter, Everest Jones Estate, and I just want to bring to forefront a couple of issues. The bridge on Gus Green Road, what is the weight limit? And Gus Green Road out to Robinson Spring, you have a dead spot on both sides. Have that been considered? I think that's a problem when you're coming out of Gus Green Road to Robinson Spring. If you look left or look right, it's blinding. You cannot see. So you're talking about trucks coming out, cars coming. They need to do something about the traffic, speed limit, because right now it's hazardous trying to get out of it. Thank you.
County engineers, problem, right there.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
I agree.
And
Bridges, you won't see
I don't have an answer, and obviously.
concrete trucks, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I will reach out to the county engineer and try to find out some of those answers.
Okay.